Hey everybody, this is Dale Comstock. I'm actually calling from my office in Bali, Indonesia tonight. And this is where I have my home, this is where I have my business. I have another home in Panama City Beach, Florida, but right now I'm obviously calling from Indonesia. I just want to talk to you quickly about what I call the 4 tenets of combat. You know, in the Army, when I was a Delta Force operator, we lived by 3 tenets: speed, surprise, violence, and action. Speed obviously being do unto the enemy what you want to do before they do it onto you, right? Do it quickly. Surprise, you know, that speaks for itself. Surprise the enemy, don't let them know that you're coming. And violence of action, again, you know, I have a philosophy that if I'm going to fight you, that I'm going to beat you to submission, and then only then can I afford to back off or give you a quarter. But I'm not going to do that until I know that I have the victory. And it's the same thing that applies in street fighting, whether it's, you know, it doesn't matter what kind of combat it is, armed combat, unarmed combat. And then the 4th tenet was something I learned from a guy named Sergeant Wilson. He was one of my first platoon sergeants in the 82nd Airborne Division. He was a former Vietnam veteran with Americal, and I remember he used to tell us that as an infantry platoon, when we're firing and maneuvering onto an objective, one of the most important elements that we could never ever forfeit, or one of the elements that we could never compromise, and that was momentum. In other words, the machine, once it started moving, had to keep its momentum going through to through the objective, onto the objective, and through the objective. If the platoon or the company lost its momentum in the assault, then it became, essentially, it was anybody's guess who might win that fight, right? So, speed, surprise, violence of action. I have adopted the latter, momentum, as part of my 4 tenets, not just the 3 tenets that I've always been taught and that most people adhere to in the military. I've added the 4th, momentum. A little bit about my background. You know, I'm a former Delta Force operator, spent almost 10 years in the unit. I was a Green Beret for a little over 5 years. I was a 82nd Airborne Division infantryman, paratrooper, scout, long-range scout. I worked for the government for about 9.5 years in a paramilitary capacity as well. Did the same jobs I did in the military, but without the military structure per se, and I got paid a lot more money. And I was also I also worked as a mercenary, a real legitimate mercenary, working for foreign governments that were friendly to the U.S. and also had the same objectives as the United States government had in the way of combating terrorism. So the other thing is, I'm 58 years old. I have black belts in American combat karate, American karate, and extension fighting. I have a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I've trained under the Gracie brothers. I have a blue belt in Shotokan karate, and I was a professional boxer, among other things. So I've spent my whole life fighting, not because I really wanted to, but I grew up as a runt, and found myself in a lot of fights in the playground because of that, right? And so I learned how to fight at a very young age, had a lot of street fights, and I'm not advocating that anybody becomes a street fighter, nor does that make you a badass, but I can tell you that it's gotten me through a lot of hard times, and my confidence level is so high that I'm not going to say I'm fearless, because that's stupid, right? A fearless person doesn't know when they're in jeopardy, but I have a lot more confidence in myself, and with a little bit of courage, I can handle probably just about any situation and any altercation that I get in. So, you know, one of the things about combat conditioning as well I wanted to address real quick is you're never too old, right? I'm 58 years old. I still shadow box. I still hit the bag when I have some time or have an opportunity. I can still mix it up. Not only can I stand up fight, but I can also ground fight pretty well. I look at ground fighting, whether it's jiu-jitsu or whatever your art is or whatever your discipline is that you practice on ground fighting. I see it as insurance. I don't see it as a primary strategy or technique for fighting or ending a fight. And there are some drawbacks to ground fighting. Obviously, one of them is if you have multiple opponents, you surely don't want to be on the ground with 2 or 3 guys fighting at the same time. I would rather stop the fight on my feet, and if I can't stop on my feet, use my feet to run away out of the situation. So conditioning, again, you know, there's no excuse for not being in shape. It doesn't matter how old you are. You know, like I said, I'm 58 years old. I hit the gym every day. I'm as strong as I've ever been. I still run, probably not as fast as I used to. I know I don't. That's because I choose not to. I spend more time doing, lifting, and I do cardio work, but I don't do endurance work like long runs. And there's a trade-off to running and lifting, right? If you're a distance runner, you run a lot. You tend to lose a lot of muscle weight because your body adapts itself for distance running. Whereas if I run less and do more sprints, then I can kind of maintain the bulk and the size that I'm looking for. So everything's relative. It doesn't matter which one you do, if you're a runner or a lifter or a combination of both or whatever it is you do. Keep the body moving. The body was designed to stay in motion. And a sedentary body is a sick body, and if it's not sick, it will get sick, and it'll get sicker faster than anybody else out there. So, anyways, just some little words of wisdom. Follow me on YouTube and on Rumble. I got more videos coming out. I'm also on fightfast.com. I have quite a few products out there related to survival, high-speed driving, and other survival types of imperatives that you might find beneficial. All right, thanks for watching.